Start recording again. Ay,
Okay,
a
here
la
we go
vez.
again.
This is gonna be
We're
one
good.
of those,
Alright.
double recording emails where I have to send you two links. That's a pain in the neck. It won't let me, put those together. Okay. Gracias por su paciencia. Thank you for your patience. Okay. A ver. Let's take a look. No sé nada aquí. You left out
No
the case,
sé
right? See?
nada.
No sé nada. And you know what? We could use that, permitir, permit, we can use that here. You might also see that written as no se permite. But if we do that, no se permite, we have to put nadar into the infinitive form, okay? So that might be expressed as no sé nada aquí, you don't swim here, or no se permite nadar. Not
Marilyn?
allowed to swim.
And
¿Entienden?
Yeah, Marilyn.
see,
Sí, Julie.
You also see say prohíba nadar?
Iba?
Prohíba.
prohiba.
Iba means I used to go.
No, prohíba.
Prohíba.
Prohiba.
Oh,
Prohiba.
sí, 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 prohíbe, prohíbe,
Comida, no
prohíbe.
sé.
Sí,
No.
you could say se prohíbe nadar. Sí, 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 sí. Muy bien, sí, Julie. Se prohíbe nadar también. Also that. So there are many ways that might be phrased. There are different ways to phrase that. Bien. A ver. Okay. O por ejemplo. This, no
The same
parking.
applies, right?
Oh, perdón.
I said the same applies to no parking that applies to no swimming.
Sure, it could. It could. It could absolutely. Absolutamente. So there are different ways we can say that. We can say se prohíbe estacionar.
Okay.
Estacionar es to
Mhm.
park. Es to park. You do hear some places, some people like regionally might use embarcar, like as a borrowed word from English, I think really, but estacionar is the formal word, se prohíbe estacionar. But what if we take just estacionar and we use just the se with that? It becomes what?
No se estaciona aquí.
No se estaciona.
Estaciona.
Exacto. No se estaciona. We don't park here. See?
Could you use the estacionamiento?
See, then it would mean no parking.
Would that work?
Sí, sí, pero como un letrero as a sign, as seeing a sign, you'll probably see it as no se estaciona or se prohíbe estacionar. Así, like that. Okay. Muy bien. Otra idea es don't touch. You know, when you're in that kind of place and you're nervous to take your kids or your grandkids in because it's full of breakable things. ¿Cómo se dice? Don't touch.
No
Don't-
se.
No
No
sé toques.
tocar.
Tocar.
Yeah, we use tocar, so to use tocar,
No say tocar.
no se toca. See? No se toca. See? We don't touch. Se toca,
Or-
no se tocan, sí, no se tocan. Bien.
Or
Okay.
you'd say prohíbe tocar.
Se prohíbe tocar, sí, 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 es posible también, se prohíbe tocar, sí, exacto, exacto. Muy bien, muy bien.
If you use
Your-
say, you can't use the infinitive form. Is that correct?
Oh, otra vez.
Generically, if you use say, you can't use the infinitive form. Is that correct?
If you use se with prohibir, then you need the infinitive.
Right, but if you're like saying no estacionar, you couldn't do that.
You might hear no estacionar, you might hear that. Yeah, or you might see it written that way. It's possible, sí. Es posible. It is possible to see it written that way. A veces, sometimes, I have seen that, sí. Okay, a ver. Y aquí, if we're going to use things like to talk about plural stuff, just know that sometimes we may add an N on to the end of that, okay? So if we're talking about frutas o legumbres, ¿sí? Vegetales, frutas en el supermercado. If we're talking about herramientas, tools, herramientas, I'll write some of these things. Box here. First, you get them in there. Okay. Por ejemplo, if we talk about frutas, if we talk about verduras, if we talk about, because this is a tricky word, herramientas, ¿sí? Sí. ¿Cómo se dice? Fruit is sold.
Se venden frutas.
Sí, se venden. If we're talking about frutas as a whole big category, something with a lot of things in it, se venden frutas. If we want to say you buy veggies in this place, you buy veggies, it becomes
Se venden.
se compran verduras, ¿sí? Se compran verduras. Notar means to notice. Let's just use, you notice tools at, I don't know, Home Depot, see? You notice tools.
Se notan herramientas.
Sí,
Herramientas.
herramientas, sí. Se notan herramientas. Se notan herramientas. You notice these things. Se compran herramientas. Se venden herramientas. Así, like that. So this is one of the really useful ways that you will hear that little word say come in either in speech or on signs, okay? On signs that you might see in stores, in public places, attached to buildings, or even just people talking about them. So it's one of the very super helpful ways that we can say. And how do you know if they're using se in a general way like that versus se as a reflexive, like los niños se sientan? You just have to know from the totality of all the other words that are attached to that verb. So you have to listen to the whole message and how all those words link together. Okay? Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of question? That are safe? No? Nada? Okay. Vale, perfecto. I want to take a few minutes to ask you minutes about this video that I sent you for listening. It was long. It was a long one, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I want to know if you had any questions about. She had a couple of areas, couple of segments where she used a little bit of past tense, and you may have caught on that that's what she used. A lot of this, it was about what she does in a 24-hour period, right? El tema, the theme, the topic, el tema. See? El tema fue, the theme was, el tema fue. Todas las acciones, all the actions, todas las actividades. que ella hace durante un día. Okay. And sometimes she slipped into a few little past tenses. So I don't know if you recognize those or not. But do know that if for any reason there was a verb and you said, I don't know what tense she was using, it probably was a past. And you probably noticed the core. So when you hear a verb used and you think that ending is not an ending that I studied for yo, tú, ellos, nosotros, if that is the case, they're probably just using it to talk about a different time stamp on that activity. Okay, and you can usually tell because the core of the verb will still be what you recognized, right? Bien. Okay, but you might be guessing a little about what time stamp are they putting on that? And that would be a valid question. I do want to know what kind of question you had, if you had any questions about that video, about any structures used, or we're not going to go through every bit of the 18 minutes, but
Just one of the things I noticed coming off of talking about se, that the general one does something, is she used a lot of me. So I do something, or
see,
done to me.
yes. So that me can happen for two reasons. Me, if it's attached to a yo verb. So that means you got two things that are both talking about the yo. And then it's a reflexive. Okay. Let me see if I can. Oh, okay. See, bien. I'm going to show you. Okay. Let me see. We'll put this on so you can see one of the uses. And this is going to be just one use of me. Okay. And here is where she's slipped in some past. And bañar is used instead of ducharse sometimes, bañarse, to shower. Okay, so ducharse means to shower. Sometimes they use bañarse, even though it means to take a bath, that's to shower. So the me bañé means that I did this. And here she used a past. Me bañé, I took a shower.
Me cambié.
Me cambié, I changed, meaning clothing. Okay? Me cambié, I changed myself. I changed into some clothes.
Me lavé los dientes.
Me lavé los dientes instead of cepillarse. Some places like to use lavarse, meaning brush your teeth. Me lavé los dientes. And she put those all into the past. So when me is combined with a yo verb, it means I'm doing it, but it's a reflexive. I'm doing it myself. Okay. The second way you may hear me used is when somebody else does something to me. And then it means you'll hear a me, but the verb is not a yo verb. Okay. Un ejemplo, an example. Mi hijo, my son. So I'm not talking about myself doing this action. Mi hijo. Mi hijo me llama por teléfono. When me is used without a yo verb, it means somebody does that action, llamar, call, to me. Okay. So when you hear the word me, it's one of two things, but you got to listen to how all those words string together. Me bañé, I took a shower, right? Me levanté, I got up, right? But me llama, in present, he calls me, or me llamó, he called me, right? So me might pair up with a verb that's not a real verb. Then it means that action is being done to me. Does that answer your question, Joe? See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's sadly for us, sadly for English speakers, it means you have to hear how all those words are stringing together to convey that message, to know the context of it, right? Yeah, okay. Any other questions about any phrases she used or vocabulary she used? Seeing Madness.
For words I couldn't find kind of what they were and couldn't figure it out. At about 5 minutes and 10 seconds, fraccionamiento.
Oh,
Subdivision.
buena pregunta. This is a good question. We're going to put this one on screen. Qué buena pregunta, Marcos. Qué buena pregunta.
I looked that up too.
That'll be hard for you to get a good translation.
39 de la tarde. Ahora voy al centro para
And she says, I'm going where? I'm going
The center of the city.
downtown to the center of town, al centro.
recoger mis lentes.
Oh, I'm going to pick up, recoger, pick up, meaning out of the store, recoger mis lentes. Mis lentes, my glasses.
Tengo 2 pares de lentes nuevos.
I
Vamos
got
a
you
manejar
2 pairs
un
of
poco.
glasses.
Este es un fraccionamiento privado. En México los fraccionamientos
Fraccionamiento privado. Well, you may not know fraccionamiento, but privado, you can guess. Privado means
Private.
Private.
private. Fraccionamiento is a development. It's like saying a we might use the word in English subdivision.
Right.
We might use, actually, fraccionamiento is a little more specific. It's like saying a gated community.
Like an
Okay.
HOA or something?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a specific word. It means it's a designated area that is sectioned off, physically gated community, essentially, is what fraccionamiento means. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really tough to look up. Um,
And tough to pronounce.
and tough to
Yes.
pronounce. Yeah. It looks like fraction, doesn't it?
Right.
It sounds like it. Fraccionamiento is a sealed
Fraccionamiento.
off, a gated community. It's a security, security measure, but it's a development, a section of houses or businesses that is gated off. Generally for security reasons, as happens sometimes in some neighborhoods we are in. Buena pregunta, muy buena pregunta.
And I had one other. It's actually sort of 2 in 1. At 10 minutes and 49 seconds, it was the word palateria.
Oh,
And then
see,
later on, 13 minutes and 45 seconds was paleta.
see, they are related. They are related. See, so here's a good thing here. Paleta. Paleta is an ice cream pop, like a popsicle. Paleta. A popsicle. What we would call a popsicle is a paleta. And it's called paleta because paleta is a little stick. Okay. So it comes on a little stick. It's called paleta. And when we put eria on the end of something, so we take paleta and we stick eria on it, it now becomes a store that sells that thing. Paleteria is a place that sells popsicles. Yeah, the little guy who sells se venden paletas. Popsicles are sold. Buena pregunta, good question. There were a couple of food things in it. Yeah. Paletas was one, and there was another one at the end where they actually showed you what they do with the Doritos.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you notice what they do with Doritos? And if you try to Google that term too, actually, you'll come up with some recipes because people do different things with that. But it is literally a thing in Mexico. This is not in all countries. True. slit open a bag of Doritos and just pile stuff on. Kind of like, it's like an idea of nachos, but nachos in a bag, kind of, but we use Doritos. They specifically use a producto Doritos to make this thing. Yeah, sí. Okay. Bueno, hay otra pregunta. Is there any other question on something that happened in that video?
No.
Nope. Nada? Nada? Bien. Okay. So the whole thing for everything was things that people typically do today. We have the easy stories set out, your little stories in the middle, and the long listening. Well, Andrea, what she does in a typical day when she's visiting her family. Okay. Bien. Fantástico. Okay. Let's make sure I have something else I forgot to leave out. No. Okay. So she had a lot of visual cues. Sam, I know you said you like a lot of visual cues. She had a lot of visual cues. She
Yes.
didn't have a visual cue for the paleta, except at the end, at the very end. She showed a paleta de fresa, yeah, a strawberry popsicle. So you kind of had to wait for the visual on that one to the very so closer to the end of the video. Excellent. Okay. Lo que vamos a hacer, what we're going to do next is I want to preview something.
Marilyn, I have a question. How many more classes in this session?
Oh,
How many
Buena-
more classes
pregunta.
in this session?
and yeah, because
Two?
Scottsdale
Yes, two, right?
divides fall into 2 sessions. Our last session is
Right.
October 20th. So, hoy es el 6,
Okay.
¿no? Dos clases más. We have 2 more classes. Okay.
All right.
2 more classes. And so, esto sí es importante. This really is important. Next week and the week after. October 20th is
Right.
the last class, and there will not be a week off in between. No week off.
Won't.
Okay.
Okay.
It goes straight, right? So from the 20th, el 20 de octubre, 20th of October is our last class, and immediately the 27th will be the first class
next
of the second session. So we do not
Okay.
have a week off in between. Importante,
Good.
important.
Yes.
So if you signed up just for the one segment, do know that you need to register for the second segment that starts the 27th. Dos clases
Okay.
más, 2 more classes. Gracias, thank you. That's something that I'm supposed to take care of, but I did not. Okay, a ver. Bien. Okay. There is a video I'm going to send you, and I want to preview this because there are a few things. A few things I want to get you ready for with this. You are going to notice, I do want you to continue to hear lots and lots of examples with ing. With ing, okay? So you're going to hear lots of examples of ing in this video. Here's your listening video for para la semana que viene, for the coming week. And this is more of, it's, you know, when you reflect on something. Sí, es correcto. There are 2 things we're going to focus on that I want you to notice. Okay. Español con Juan.
Espero que todo
And there are a couple things I want to just give you a heads up on. You will notice some ing, ando yendo, that he will continue to plug in. There might be a few, I'm sure there'll be some says in there. I also want you to notice that he uses double negatives, and actually it's up in the title. See? Arriba, way up high, arriba, a la izquierda, up in the left. It says, aquí no hay nadie. No hay nadie. He's going to use a lot of double negation, la doble negación en español. Double negation. He's going to have some negative words, quite a few negative words that are thrown in there. So one of the things, besides we will continue to reinforce the ando yendo and some of those say references, I'm sure, is negative words like nadie, nobody, no one, and nada, nothing. In Spanish, negative words often, sometimes they can come alone, and if a negative word like nadie is used by itself, then it is often in front of a verb. But you will often hear it not just as nadie. Okay, an example. Nadie viene, nobody is coming. Wow, it's time for the party. Es hora de la fiesta. Y nadie viene, nobody's coming. Okay, you might hear it that way, but you'll often hear it as a double negative. No hay nadie. There isn't anybody. Okay, in Spanish, hearing words as double negatives is frequent and blessed and wonderful. And in some cases, you have to have words expressed as double negatives. So you're going to hear that in many, many sections of this video. He's going to give you a little tour of an area. And that will come up. The other thing I want to tell you about that particular video, okay, so notice the ing words and notice the especially nada and nadi. You're also going to see him, for some reason, somewhere in the titles, it might say no soy Mick Jagger. I'm not Mick Jagger. Do not take that as a biggie. I don't know why he put that in the title. That, like, you have to listen all the way to the end to hear that. All he's talking about is that he's not some young guy who jumped around on a stage anymore. But he's going to have one reference at the end, and I want you to totally ignore it. He's going to use a term, which is el perro gorrillero. El perro gorrillero. Perro, you know. Perro, blah, 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 blah. Dog, okay? Perro gorrillero. Please ignore that term at the end. It is kind of a MacGuffin. It is a red herring. It means the gorilla hunting dog. There is this running joke that this guy, Juan, has in many of his videos. And the running joke is that he never tells the story about the gorilla hunting dog.
No.
He never tells the story. So ignore that. It has nothing to do with the rest of the video. And it comes at the end. So don't come with a question of, what does he mean by that? It's a running joke, he calls it. Okay? Bien? Pero va a hablar de estar en otro lugar. He's going to talk about being in a different place and the changes connected with that. And I'll give you a little theme for talking a little bit next week, something that perhaps we're going to do, or, we'll see if we can plug in some of the, nada, nothing, or, nadie, nobody things, into some conversation things. So you're gonna get some little questions, connected to the general theme of that video. And, I will probably give you a page, to explain what those double negative words are, so that you kind of have a heads up on what they mean. Okay, in English, we cannot use words. Well, you can. It is frowned upon, let us say, to use words as a double negative. Two negatives make a positive, but not in Spanish, they don't. So, yeah. See, no hay nadie will be expressed as a double negative. So that's what I want you to be noticing. And there's a whole category of words that do similar things. To that, we'll talk a little bit about those next week. Not saying I think I've got a short video I'll send you on how those are, so you understand how it, and it's going to be like a really easy used to show this to teenagers so that they would understand.
Okay.
Use those words. See, todo bien? Are we all good with that?
We'll go with that. Yes.
Sí, bien. Okay, vale, perfecto. So you're gonna get some added questions, and
And we'll see you next
then
week.
we'll do some drill on that, those double negatives,
Okay.
to practice. Okay,
Okay.
perfecto. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question? Or any
I have to go
topics?
play a game.
Okay. Okay, muy bien, perfecto. Okay,
I have to go play
entonces,
Wheel of Fortune. Goodbye.
yeah, so, okay, I'm glad I got everybody back. Thanks for staying on when I had my.
Hasta luego.
Sí, sí. Oh, hasta luego, ¿sí? Bien. Magnífico,
Gracias.
que tengan buena semana. Have a good